It begins with a question whispered through the ages. What if the Quran was not just guidance but the blueprint of your very being? From a Quranic perspective alone, this story unravels a truth both intimate and startling. Your structure, your soul, your breath of existence, all clarified by a book that calls itself Fussilat, a revelation meticulously detailed for every seeker. The Quran does not claim beauty only, it claims precision. It calls itself a clarified book because every verse separates truth from illusion, monotheism from subtle forms of shirk, and the permissible from the forbidden. It is a light that exposes shadows inside and outside the human heart, and this light becomes the foundation for understanding the most complex creation ever formed. Ustaz Khalid Kibrom reminds us that the Quran demands a new kind of reading, one that begins not with stories, but with tools. If Allah has clarified everything, then He has also clarified the method to understand that clarity. So before looking at the human being, before asking who we are, we must first learn how the divine text wants to be approached. The first method is tafkik al-mustalah, the deconstruction of terminology. In the divine language, no two words are truly identical. Each carries a unique shade of meaning, and when meanings blur, truths blur. The Quran insists on precision, because a single word can shift an entire worldview, an entire law, an entire spiritual outcome. The Ustaz brings a chilling example from Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah forbids the believers from saying Ra'ayna, and commands them to say Anzurna instead. Both meant look at us, yet one carried a hidden insult in Hebrew. One word held poison, the other held purity. This is the Quran teaching that language, even the smallest unit, can carry life or death within it. The second method, Talil Sawti, goes deeper than meaning. It studies the very sound of the word, its breath, its bones. The letter Jim in Jinn hints at hidden power, something unseen yet present. The Quran invites us to hear words as structures made by the Creator, every sound chosen with purpose, every vibration carrying a story beneath the surface. These tools prepare us for the greatest question: who are you? Not as society defines you, nor as emotion describes you, but as Allah constructed you, the human being, the Nafs, the Ruh, the Jasad, terms we mix freely. Each has a divine definition, and when definitions collapse, identity collapses with them. The lecture warns us gently, to know yourself, you must know His words. Quick pause. My all brother and sisters, please subscribe to stay connected, as we explore more Quranic perspectives together, and also it's a sadaqah. Now we return to the heart of the matter, the human being. The Quranic methodology does not allow guessing. It demands purity of understanding. So every word for the body and soul must stand alone, examined by the light of revelation. Many people use Nafs and Ruh interchangeably, yet the Quran never does. The Nafs is the self that struggles, the self that desires, the self that dies. Every Nafs shall taste death. The Ruh, however, never appears in that context. There is no plural for it in the Quran. It is from the command of Allah, untouched by the transitions that define earthly life. This subtle distinction shifts everything. Death is not the extinguishing of spirit, but the tasting by the self. The Ruh remains what it was, a breath from Allah's command. Meanwhile, the Nafs journeys, transforms, and stands accountable. A precise language reveals a precise truth. Misunderstanding these terms means misunderstanding your purpose. Even the physical body holds layers of meaning. Jasad, Badan, Jism. Each refers to a different state or dimension of the human form. One refers to the visible structure, another to the body in motion, another to the corpse without life. The Quran's detail is not poetic, it is structural. The human being is not one entity, but a system of divinely crafted components. And so the lecture leaves us with a profound realization. To know yourself through the Quran is to rebuild your identity from the foundation up, to see your body not as random matter, but as a selected design, to see your nafs not as confusion, but as a traveler, to see your ruh not as emotion, but as a trust. Every layer precise, every meaning revealed by Allah Himself. But the Quran does not only clarify meanings, it clarifies intention. Every command aims to purify the inner architecture of the human being. When a word is corrected, a thought is corrected. When a definition is restored, a soul is restored. The lecture reminds us that Allah does not refine language for style. He refines it to realign your heart with truth. Consider how many misunderstandings in life come from unclear terms. People argue, divide and wound one another because they speak without precision. The Quran shows that spiritual clarity begins with linguistic clarity. When Allah corrects a single word in Surah Al-Baqarah, He teaches us that the smallest concept can reshape faith, character, and destiny. This is why scholars throughout history treated Quranic terminology like delicate glass. They knew each word had a divine fingerprint, a purpose not shared by any synonym. The lecture echoes this heritage, urging us to approach the book not as a text to be skimmed, but as a structure to be unlocked, one concept, one sound, one letter at a time. And once this method is mastered, the human being becomes a map waiting to be read through revelation. Our emotions, fears, dreams, and desires stop feeling random. They become signs. The nafs becomes a mirror. The body becomes a vessel. The ruh becomes a reminder of our origin. Suddenly, self-knowledge is no longer philosophical. It becomes worship. The Ustaz emphasizes that confusion is not a flaw of the Quran, but a flaw in our approach to it. The book is already clarified. It is our perception that needs polishing. When terms regain their original meanings, everything in life settles into balance. Faith deepens, choices sharpen, and the human being finally recognizes the divine engineering behind their existence. It is in this clarity that dignity returns. To understand your structure is to understand your worth. You are not a body wandering in chaos, nor a soul drifting without direction. You are a precisely crafted creation, built with intentional layers. And when each layer is understood through Allah's words, the story of your life begins to make sense again. We want to hear your insights, so drop them gently in the comments section. Your reflections may guide another heart toward clarity. And as this journey closes, remember, this knowledge is not theory, it is worship. You are a soul breathed into by the command of Kun, a creation honored above creation, carried by a nafs that struggles and a ruh that remembers its Lord. Every verse of the Quran that reveals your structure is actually revealing your worth. You were crafted with intention, watched with mercy, and guided with a book that explains you better than the world ever could. If these words touched something deep within you, then stay close. Walk with us on this path of Quranic understanding. And if your heart felt even a small pull tonight, let that be your sign. Join this circle and subscribe, not for numbers, but so we can continue seeking Allah's light together, verse by verse, step by step, soul to soul.